Hello everyone, Vanakkam. So I felt that since the chapter is role of Tamil Nadu in the Indian national movement, तो मैंने Vanakkam से start किया है, which is actually like Namaste in Hindi. My Tamil friends, please tell me, did you like my Vanakkam? Okay. So yes, this chapter is about role of Tamil Nadu in the Indian national movement. And even if you feel कि ये regional chapter है, हम skip कर सकते हैं, I would suggest don't do it because the chapter actually contains things which are of national significance. So ऐसी कोई बहुत ज़्यादा particular regional चीजें नहीं है. So it will help you. Kind of short बात यही है. Okay. So let's start the chapter. So, which were the revolts which happened in Tamil Nadu prior to the Great Revolt of 1857? Which happened before Great Revolt of 1857. So, first, like before starting the whole discussion, I think what we need to know is who were Palyakaras. Okay, it was a position basically which was held by like Katta Boman Nayak and everyone who will be discussing in this slide. So Palyakarar was a position actually which originated in Vijayanagar rule, and basically they were feudal lords who actually got the land in return of their military service. So they provided military service to the king or Nawab, and in return they had received lands on which they collected taxes. Okay, so what happened was like first Palyakara to protest against English was Pulithevan. Basically, Pulithevan refused to pay taxes both to the Nawab of Arcot and English. Okay, so obviously Nawab and the English forces, they combined and they fought against Pulithevan. Okay, so at the end, actually, he was defeated first, but he recaptured, and again, like he was defeated. So Pulithevan lost, but he was the first to protest against English, like the first Palyakarar. Okay. After that, Carnatic Treaty of 1792 happened. So basically, this treaty is also known as Treaty of Seringapatam. Very important. Third Anglo-Mysore War had happened, and after that, this treaty was signed. In Third Anglo-Mysore War, British Nizam of Hyderabad and Maratha were on one side, and Tipu Sultan of Mysore was on the other side, where Tipu Sultan got defeated. So after that, this treaty was signed, in which English gained control over the Palyakaras. Okay, so in 1799, the rebellion happened in Panchalam, Kuruchi, where Katta Boman Nayak was the Palyakarar. Matlab, he was heading the Panchalam, Kuruchi. Simple words mein. Okay. So Katta Boman Nayak first, refused to pay taxes. So in like, there was a lot of arrears on the taxes collected. Like if you don't pay taxes, yeah, there was a like lot of arrear, which was, like left over for Katta Boman to pay. So the governor of there, Colin Jackson, he demanded that please pay the arrears. But again, Katta woman was refusing to pay that. And then Jackson said that, okay, come to meet me. He was told, but Katta woman again refused. So he was basically ordered then to that you have to meet. This is an order. You have to meet the governor. So Katta woman went to meet the governor, but he tried to arrest him. Okay, he escaped. Obviously, Katta woman escaped because he got the help of his brother Umathurai, but his minister got arrested. So this was like definitely not liked by Katta woman because he was told that this will just be a meeting, but obviously Jackson had planned to arrest him in that meeting. So after that, Katta woman, provided a letter to Madras Council, and then the governor Jackson, he was dismissed. Okay. So this was the whole story, like which happened between Katta woman Nayak and British. Okay, but what happened after that, which looks a happy ending, was not actually a happy ending, because what happened that after that, Kattaboman heard that Marudu brothers of Shiv Ganga, okay, these were planning to revolt against English, so he joined them. Okay, which was definitely not liked by the English. So finally Kattaboman was actually hanged in 1799. Okay, so ये जो first war थी, I mean the British versus Kattaboman Nayak, this was the first Polygar war. Okay, so which happened in Tirunelveli region of the Panchalam, Kuruchi, Palayam. So Palayam is group of villages. Okay, so the whole Palayam was called Panchalam, Kuruchi. and the palyakarar of that region was Kattaboman Nayak. Okay, so obviously, the association of Kattaboman and Marudu brothers was not liked by English. It was taken as a, like, that he was warned, Kattaboman was warned that don't fight, but Kattaboman didn't listen, and then actually he was hanged in 1799, and it was done in a public place to give a lesson to everyone who is trying to revolt against English. But still, it could not stop the coming rebels, the coming rebellions actually. So in 1801, South Indian rebellion of the Marudu brothers happened. So there were two brothers here, Peria and Chinna. So Chinna was known as Lion of Shivaganga, and he was actually the first, basically Indian to give a call to, unite Indians against the British, and he even collected 2,000 men, in his army to protest against the English. So these were the chieftains of Shivaganga, as I've already said, and they also gave, shelter to O Mathurai, the brother of Kattaboman. Okay, who also definitely came in the eye of the English because of Kattaboman. And so basically, what happened at the end was that, Umadurai was also beheaded and Marudu brothers were also executed. So definitely, it was not a happy ending. Again, Vellore Mutiny of 1806, very, very popular. And I think, it is always taken in name, even when we study spectrum or anything, we always get this, to read that, before the Great Revolt of 1857, there was a Sepoy Mutiny which happened earlier than the, revolt of 1857, which was Vellore Mutiny of 1806, which actually was conducted by the sepoys with the support of Mysore forces and, locals. I mean, sorry, with the support of Mysore forces, matlab jo Mysore forces the, they conducted this with the support of locals. Okay, so what was the background was again simple. See, after 1799, after Tipu Sultan's death in 1799, his son and family, they were imprisoned in Vellore Fort. Now, that Vellore Fort was guarded by the soldiers who were the locals of that place. So obviously they had soft corner for the family, right? So what happened? The reason which is given for the mutiny was again religious, like it is given for Great Revolt of 1857 as well. That, there were regulations imposed where they were not supposed to, like, put anything on their forehead, that tilak vilak and all, and they were supposed to wear a turban with cross. Okay, so soldiers opposed this, and then finally the Vellore Mutiny of 1806 happened. But again, this was suppressed by Colonel Gillespie. So yes, it was suppressed, but this is considered the first Sepoy mutiny which actually happened, because this happened before 1857, and it was also a Sepoy mutiny. Not at a national level, but yes, it was. If you consider it as a Sepoy mutiny only, then this was the first mutiny which happened. Okay. So now we'll study about how the national movement began in Tamil Nadu. So it all started in July 1852 with the establishment of Madras Native Association, and this organization was very critical of the activities of East India Company. Okay, so the activities of East India Company was criticized by this organization, and it was started by Lakshmi Narasu Chetty and Srinivasa Pillai. Later, in 1884, a new organization came up, and that was known as Madras Mahajan Sabha. And this organization supported the activities of Indian National Congress, and it was started by P. Ananda Chalu and P. Rangaya Naidu. Later, Madras Native Association merged with Madras Mahajan Sabha. ओके, सो आप ये बहुत कॉमन है, आप कोई भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस देखेंगे जब नेशनल मूवमेंट का पढ़ते हैं, तो कोई भी जब मेजर एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आ जाती है, देन द स्मॉलर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और द अर्लियर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन दे मर्ज and they work together, because there is no point, if different organizations are working for the same goal in a particular region, so they basically merged into a bigger organization. Okay, and this organization, Madras Mahajan Sabha, is very significant. You will study about this everywhere. So it also initiated social reform, which we can see in the activities of G. Subramania Iyer, because he did the remarriage of his widowed daughter. in 1889, which was a big deal at that point of time, because like widows were not allowed to, remarry. So, and this man, obviously, he's the man behind The Hindu, G. Subramanya Iyer. The picture is here. So, he started The Hindu, which everybody studies for UPSC in English, and he also started Swadesh Mitran in Tamil. Okay. So, and this man is also significant because he moved the first resolution in first session of Indian National Congress. So this is a landmark event which definitely happened in 1885 because Indian National Congress came up in 1885. Next, in 1887, the third session of Indian National Congress was held in Madras under the presidentship of Badruddin Tayyabji. His picture is here. And in 1892, Madras Provincial Conference started. So this was, provincial conferences. Why were they started? Because to, they wanted to connect to the local people. So this Madras Provincial Conference also, it helped to mobilize people in rural Tamil Nadu. Okay, so basically, see, the urban areas were first who, kind of came into the national movement, but the rural areas were left behind. So these provincial conferences helped to do that. So Madras Provincial Conference, it helped to mobilize people in rural Tamil Nadu, to bring rural people into the national movement as well. So now we'll study about Swadeshi movement in Tamil Nadu. So why did Swadeshi movement actually start? It started due to the partition of Bengal in 1905. If you don't remember the whole context, I would suggest you to please revise the previous videos. Okay, so like we already know that there was conflict between moderates and extremists over the spread of Swadeshi movement. So the extremists wanted the Swadeshi movement to spread over all of the India, but the moderates were not in support of that because they felt that it would maybe anger Britishers. So all of these conflicts were like accumulated, and 1907 Surat split happened, where basically the Surat split context is that this meeting of 1907, the Congress session of 1907, was supposed to be held in Nagpur, but it was later shifted to Surat so that Bal Gangadhar Tilak, doesn't become the president, because extremists wanted Tilak as the president and moderates wanted, somebody of their side, like which happened because Raj Bihari Ghosh was a moderate who finally became the president, and that is why in the session and also the extremists wanted the resolution of Swaraj to be passed in the 1907 Congress session, which was also not agreed by moderates. So basically, all of these conflicts came up, and in 1907 session, it was a really like a sad moment because the extremists got so angry because Lala Lajpat Rai was not even allowed to speak at the session, and that is why like they threw chairs and everything, and kind of fight happened, and then the groups divided. The Indian National Congress divided into two groups, moderates and extremists, and extremists were actually made to push out of Congress. So after this Surat split, VO Chidambaram Pillai, and with his fellow associates, he started Chennai Jana Sangam. So basically they were not satisfied with the work of moderates of Indian National Congress, and they started their own organization, where they felt that they could they can proceed with how they feel that something they would do would impact Britishers, because they were feeling that the methods of moderates were not sufficient to bring some revolution in Indian independence movement. So VO Chidambaram Pillai, if we study about him, so he's a very significant personality. He launched Swadeshi Steam Navigation Company in 1906 in Tuticorin, and that is why he was called Kappalatoya Tamilan. Okay, I'm sorry if my pronunciation is like really weird. So this means that Tamilian who drove the ship. Okay, and later in this steam navigation company, this like was held to was brought up to basically give competition to British steam navigation company. So that is why this like event is really really relevant. And in February 1908, VO Chidambaram Pillai, he led the coral mill strike in Tuticorin, And in March 1908, he was like he also brought Tirunelveli uprising for a boycott against British Indian Steam Navigation Company, because obviously he was telling everybody that please boycott the British India Steam Navigation Company and we will use our own Swadeshi Steam Navigation Company. And he was assisted by Subramanya Shiva in this whole movement. And because of this they were arrested obviously, and they were like made to go through rigorous punishments in jail. And even Pillai sir was asked to pull the oil press in jail, and that is why he is known as Chekiluta Chemil. And this means that a great man who pulled the oil press in jail for sake of his people. So that is why, I mean, they were really made to go through very harsh punishments in the jail. Subramania Shiva and VO Chidambaram Pillai. Okay, and Government of India has also brought up a stamp on his name, if you can see here. Okay, so yes. Another prominent figure in Swadeshi movement in Tamil Nadu was Subramania Bharati, and this man was very revolutionary in his social and political ideas, and he was a non-conformist. Obviously, he was a non-conformist and unorthodox. Non-conformist means who doesn't conform to the regular practices which are going in the society. Okay, so not like if he feels that something is not going right in the society, he'll just speak up against it. And he was an unorthodox, obviously, which means that he was not like वही रूढ़िवादी नहीं थे, मतलब हिंदी में बोलते हैं वैसे, मतलब कि जो भी customs हैं, if there are some customs which he feels wrong, and even if it is followed by the whole society, he will just not get accustomed to that, or he will just not agree to that. Okay, so he was very revolutionary in his ideas, and he edited Tamil weekly known as India, and he also wrote nationalist song which is known as Swadesha Geetangal. Okay, and due to all this which was happening in like Tamil Nadu at that point of time, where VO Chidambaram Pillai and Subramania Shiva, all they were imprisoned, and then they were made to go through harsh punishments in jail and everything. An organization came up later that was known as Bharat Mata Association, and in this organization was basically obviously for revolutionary ideas. And in this uh, association, a vital role was played by Nilakanta Brahmachari in its setup. And in June 1911, and like member of this association, Vanchi Nathan, he shot dead official Robert William Ashe at Maniachi Junction. So we have already studied about revolutionary terrorism, I think, where it was like, yeah, individual revolutionary activities were done by individual people who felt that this is the only way where the deaf can hear, if we remember the quote. So to just punish the Britishers for whatever wrong they were doing, these revolutionary activities were being brought up. Okay, so where an individual would take up any official who was not just in his activities and can punish him. So yes. So now we'll study about the home rule movement in Tamil Nadu. So basically, this whole movement was started by Annie Besant between 1916 to 1918, and the first indication that she can start home rule movement, which was basically to just establish self independence. मतलब कि independence should be held, like independent India should be there where the positions are held by Indians. Okay, self governing institutions. So that is why it's known as home rule. It should be, the India should be ruled by Indians. It was not like Swaraj, the complete independence thing, but it was self government. Okay, the idea was to introduce self government where Indians are holding the positions. So Annie Besant actually gave first indication in New India in September 1915 that she can start a movement of this sort of. And this home rule movement was actually based on Irish home rule movement, where all this movement had already taken place. So the idea was taken up from there. And in December 1915 Indian National Congress session, which was held in Bombay, like Annie Besant had asked Indian National Congress support, where she said that if you people start, educative propaganda and establish local committees, then I will not start the home rule movement. And Tilak was quite impressed by the idea, so he felt that okay, I can also start this. So later, when I mean, Besant and Congress had talked up, and Besant had said that if you start up, if you establish the committees and propaganda within a particular time frame, I will not start the home rule movement. She gave 6 months or 1 year, something I don't remember. Please check it out and mention in the comments. Okay. So after, when the Indian National Congress didn't start the didn't establish what any percent had asked for, the local level committees and educative propaganda, then she started her Home Rule League. But since Tilak was not bound by any such agreement, so Tilak started his Home Rule League before Annie Besant in April 1916, and Annie Besant started in September 1916. So Tilak established his Home Rule League in Belgaum, and like started in Belgaum, and Besant started in Madras. And Tilak's Home Rule League was more kind of organized. It only had 6 branches, and Basint's was more loose kind of organization where it had 200 branches. So it was covering a wider area, and it had like lot of branches, very not a very compact organization. So I would request all of you to please mention that where Tilak's league operated, and obviously the rest of India was Basint's. I just want you to mention Tilak's league, where the Tilak's Home Rule League operated, in which areas. Okay. There were 4 areas. You have to mention that in the comments. Okay. And don't think कि मुझे नहीं पता है इसलिए मैं पूछ रही हूँ. I have the data in front of me even right now, but I will not tell that. I just want you to work a little. थोड़ी सी मेहनत करिएगा आप भी तो मजा आएगा. Okay. So this movement was very vigorous during First World War, which was like during 1914 to 1918. So as you can see, it was between 1916 to 1918. So it was very vigorous during First World War. And yeah, if I would like to tell you one thing, that the home rule movement was actually quite successful, because later in Montague Declaration of 1917, which is also known as August Declaration, British themselves said that we'll try to establish self-governing institutions now and bring responsible government. So which meant that now asking for self-government is not a seditious activity, because before even Annie Besant was imprisoned, like which led to wide protest, and like British had to release her within a very small time frame. So like all this revolution led to Montague Declaration, where self government was actually allowed, that yeah, now we will bring self governing institutions, we are where Indians will be involved, and will try to bring responsible government. So this was like a major achievement, I would say, of home rule movement. Okay. And moving on to non-cooperation movement, 1921 to 23. So basically, thoda sa background of this is that before this, actually, major events happened, like Rowlatt Act 1919, Jallianwala Bagh Massacre 1919, then Khilafat movement, and World War One was already happening. So, like already happened 1914 to 1918. You already know that. So all of this, actually, the whole build up from this led to non-cooperation movement. If you don't remember things related to this, I would suggest भैया please आप पिछले videos को देख लीजिए थोड़े. Previous videos, please watch them. The whole timeline is covered up there. But I would give you a brief idea. In Rowlatt Act 1919, basically, British had said that people can be imprisoned without trial for 2 years basically, and without trial का मतलब they will not be brought up to the court. तो basically बिना किसी justification के, without any justification, somebody can be taken up to jail. That was the whole idea of Rowlatt Act 1919. So basically, it was really a very tyrant act which was brought. And Jallianwala Bagh massacre 1919, I think, needs no introduction, but still, I would give you a brief idea that basically a lot of people, innocent people, were killed in that massacre, where General Dyer, he said to fire at an unarmed crowd without any warning, with and that uh, was the event of some Baisakhi festival was there, and people had collected in a garden which was Jallianwala Bagh. And British had some information that some kind of activity is going to happen of some congress or something, of like the revolution, the international activists, they are going to kind of hold some meeting or something. And that time, Punjab was under martial law. So basically, to prevent that, General Dyer came and he just started firing at an unarmed crowd, and like a lot of people were killed. And they had also blocked the only exit gate of that whole bagh, and that was really criticized a lot even by the Britishers, because obviously it was an activity which was like it had to be criticized. There was no other point. So after this massacre, Rabindranath Tagore, he gave up his knighthood. Gandhiji gave up his title of Kaisar-e-Hind, which was provided to him by Britishers. So this was a major event. And Khilafat movement was about, like, after the World War One, Turkey was defeated by Britishers, so they abolished the caliphate. Okay, and Caliph was like regarded as the head of Muslims by all over the world. Okay, so that is why the Indian Muslims also felt disrespected by this activity of Britishers, and that is why they had brought Khilafat movement. So the all of this build up actually led to non-cooperation movement, which started in 1920 in India, and in Tamil Nadu it came up in 1921 to 23. Okay, so in March 1921, basically the whole movement in Tamil Nadu was against foreign regulations. 1921 to 22, it was against liquor, and a temperance campaign was very active in Madurai. So temperance campaign is all about against alcohol consumption. Okay, that you should not consume alcohol. Okay, and important leaders of this movement in Tamil Nadu were C. Rajgopalachari, also known as Rajaji, S. Satyamurthy, and E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar. Periyar, very popular for self-respect movement. Okay, so these were some very important leaders in the non-cooperation movement. So C. Rajgopalachari felt that council boycott was central part of the Gandhian program. So, see, non-cooperation movement was all about not cooperating with British. So it was at all levels, that you cannot attend schools which are provided by them. You should not, like, attend the councils. Like, we need to boycott them. We need to like show them that we will not cooperate with you until and unless you listen to our demands. Okay. So C. Rajgopalachari felt that boycotting councils was a central part of the Gandhian program, but this view was not shared by everyone, like Kasturi Ranga Iyengar, Srinivasa Iyengar, and Varada Rajulu Naidu, and Vijay Raghavachari. They felt that no, this was like not like the right idea. But C. Rajagopalachari felt that way. Okay, and Periyar EVR, we are again coming to him. So I really love this person. So because he is very popular for self-respect movement, as I've already said, and I just want to talk a bit about the self-respect movement, which was basically active in the year 1925, and it was all about making the lower caste and depressed classes who were made to feel like they were a different section of the society by the upper caste people. And uh, Periyar E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar, he had said a very beautiful line on self-respect, that we are fit to think of self-respect only when the notion of superior and inferior caste is banished from our land. And I think that is a beautiful line coming up from him. And he also felt that all the national leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru and everyone used to talk about Swaraj, but we cannot achieve Swaraj, complete independence, until and unless we have individual self respect in the country. Like, if individuals are not provided respect, if individuals are not provided the kind of respect every individual should have, you know until then we cannot have Swaraj. So he felt that complete independence should not only be achieved at political level, but also at individual level. Okay, so I think that was a very, like, beautiful aspect we normally miss in studying the national movement. And in self-respect movement, his focus was not only achieving social equality, but also economic equality. He felt that there should be no difference, like no difference in treatment on the basis, like if somebody is rich or poor, if somebody is from male or female, if somebody is from upper caste, lower caste, like in on any basis you should not discriminate. That was the whole idea of self respect movement. And self respect movement was to teach people that you need to have, respect for yourself. Like, it's very important that you are not demeaned by someone. You treat yourself with dignity. It's very important to have that confidence that I'm not less than anyone else. Okay, so that was his idea. And even, he had conducted marriages without priest, to show that, these people are not required. I mean, these things are not required for marriage. What is required is like two people who want to spend their life with each other. We don't need rituals and ceremonies. That is just for happiness. And if it's like bringing discrimination in the society, why to have that ritual at all? So he even conducted marriages without priests and all. So, like, beautiful, beautiful thing. He actually fought hard, like, for all this social segregation issues. And he was also active in Vaikom Satyagraha, which also happened in 1924 to 1925 in Kerala. And it was all about that. There was a Shiv temple, which was Vaikom Mahadev temple. And, like, obviously the lower castes were not allowed to enter the temple, and that is why this satyagraha happened. And also the roads going to the temples, the lower caste, they could not even use the roads which were going to the temple. There was a board which was like written there that, these castes are not allowed. Okay, so satyagraha happened where 3 to 4 people, they used to go together. And, one or two of them would be from those caste who were not allowed to go, and then obviously they would get arrested. And that is how the satyagraha began. And Periyar EVR was actually called by, Kerala Pradesh Congress Committee to lead this movement. And Periyar was like arrested twice in Vaikom, and that is why he's known as Vaikom Virar also, that, fearless hero. So he was the only person who got arrested twice in that satyagraha. Okay. And even when, he was like very active in Congress, Perrier, but later he resigned because he felt that, um, there is lot of inequality in Congress itself. Like, it is normally dominated by the upper caste Hindus, and they don't want to change the system. They're just doing lip service, कि बस बातें कर रहे, they just like, they are just saying things, but they are not interested in implementing that. Okay, so he like made several attempts to, bring communal representation, like community representation, that, different sections are represented, like at good level, at a proportionate level. But finally, after he returned from Vaikom and he made his sixth and last attempt, at uh, Tamil Nadu Congress committees, and when he felt that no, nothing can happen, he was disgusted and he left. And later, due to his efforts, actually government assured proportional representation in public offices for Brahmins, non-Brahmins, Christians, Muslims, and oppressed classes. So he was successful in his efforts, but he was not successful when he was a part of Congress. And he also came out on social segregation issue at Sera Mandavi Guru Kalam of VVS Iyer. Now this is a very interesting story. I was really not aware of this before. So in this was actually a school. Okay, Sera Mandavi Guru Kul. It was like Gurukul school hota na, to wahi. So Sera Mandavi Gurukulam was a school, and it was like led by VVS Iyer. Okay, so Perrier, this school was operating from before, and later when Perrier became the, Tamil Nadu Congress committee ke president, he found out that, in this school, students were served food like from, in different locations, in different ways. Like, from upper caste students were served food at a different place, and lower class students were served at a different place. Matlab, there was discrimination in the school itself. So he talked to VVS Iyer, and he stopped the grant to the school. And VVS Iyer was adamant that he is not going to change the system. Perrier said that, this discrimination should not be there among students. Why are you teaching them this, all this? I mean, why are you treating students differently from different castes? This should not happen, and this should not be like, taught to the students, taught to children. But VVS Iyer was quite adamant that no, I'm not going to change the system. And he even got the grant, from the back foot. Like, he contacted the higher officials of Congress and got the grant for the school. So Perrier was actually, quite disheartened by this, and he understood that okay, nothing is going to happen here. I mean, they are just not interested in doing things. So this was like one issue. I was not aware that even when things were happening as a part of movement, like schools and all, which were brought by the activists themselves, like discrimination at this level could actually happen in such schools. I did not imagine it, but it was happening. Okay, so the level of discrimination, you can imagine that even when our national activists were opening schools, they were discriminating on the basis of caste, and that to to children. I mean, imagine, we are fighting with britishers for respect, and among ourselves also we were not giving respect to each other. So that was really disheartening. But yeah, I really thank Perrier sir for coming up with this issue, actually. And I think it's a part of the system even right now. So if you people are hearing me, it's very important that you just don't study things, but you try to incorporate these things in your lives as well. You need to grow as a person. If you are really interested in bringing change in the society, you need to grow up as a person first. Discrimination is never, you know is something which cannot be excused at all. Okay. Another prominent person, S. Satyamurthy of Pudukkottai, he led the anti-Simon campaign in 1929 when the Simon Commission visited Tamil Nadu. If you don't remember why Simon Commission came, so Government of India Act of 1919 had given a provision that a commission will be appointed after 10 years for reviewing the whole system. So before 2 years only, the commission was appointed in 1927, and when it arrived in India, it was shown black flag and Simon go back slogans were raised, because first of all, this commission actually had no Indian member. So that was a kind of insulting for Indians. And the recommendations are secondary. They actually felt that communal representation should continue, because still the communal tensions were on and everything. But the main reason of the boycott was that there was no Indian member in the commission, and Indians felt that how can all foreigners decide the future of India. So that is one reason Simon Commission came, and if you want to revise more, you can just go to previous videos and see that. Okay, and K Kamaraj from Virudhunagar, uh, he was like, he also participated in Vaikom Satyagraha, and he was vice president and treasurer of the Ramnad District Congress Committee in 1929. And he is known as man of the masses because he was like someone who could really connect with people very well. He could, talk in simple and languages, and he was like, common man. He could address issues of common man, and he could communicate with them well. And that is why it's said that he brought the Congress movement to the villages in Tamil Nadu, because he could connect with people so well, and that is why he's known as the man of the masses. So salt satyagraha, which was part of the civil disobedience movement. So civil disobedience movement was launched in 1930, and we all know about the Dandi March, the popular Dandi March. Basically, a bit background is that in 1929 Lahore session of Indian National Congress, Congress declared that now we don't want self-government, we want Purna Swaraj, that is complete independence. So that is why 26th of January 1930 was also celebrated as the first Independence Day. And that is why when we talk about constitution being adopted on 26 January, we understand that why 26 January was so important, because 26 January 1930 was the day when India actually celebrated its first Independence Day. Indian activists. So civil disobedience was launched in 1930, and the idea was that we will start with breaking salt law. Why? Because Gandhiji felt that how can Britishers tax salt? I mean, salt was a basic need of a common man. You just can't tax that basic entity. So that is why he felt that this is the best way to show that we will not obey laws which are not, fruitful for us. So he marched up to Dandi and broke the salt law there. So that salt satyagraha was led by C. Rajgopalachari in Tamil Nadu, because in April 1930 he had become, Tamil Nadu Congress Committee president. So authorized by Tamil Nadu Congress Committee and Congress, he directed the salt satyagraha in Tamil Nadu. C. Rajgopalachari is also lovingly known as Rajaji. So he undertook Vedaranyam Salt Satyagraha March, where he went from Tiruchirappalli to Vedaranyam in Thanjavur district. And this all began on Tamil New Year's Day, 13th April, and they reached Vedaranyam on 28th April 1930, and 30th April he got arrested, which was definite. That is why they were doing the whole thing. They knew that they are going to get arrested. Obviously, you are breaking the law, so you will get arrested. Okay, and other important leaders who participated in Salt Satyagraha were T.S.S. Rajan, Mrs. Lakshmipati Sardar, Vedaratnam Pillai, C. Swaminatha Chetty, and K. Shantanam. And a very important person, Tirupur Kumaran, who is also known as, Kodi Katata Kumaran, because like the Kumaran who saved the flag, because he was, fatally beaten. He actually died, but he, didn't let the flag of India touch the ground. He was, and you can see a picture, like this is an artist demonstration of what happened. So he was beaten, but still he, held the flag in his hands. So that is why he is like one of the brave heroes of our whole Indian national movement, Tirupur Kumaran. Okay, and Namakkal Kavinjar Ramalingam Pillai, he was popular for writing nationalist songs. So he also sang that a war is coming without knife and blood. This was, to demonstrate the Gandhian principles of non-violence, that a war is coming without knife and blood. So he wrote a song like that. Next, we are going to talk about Quit India Movement 1942. So Quit India movement, actually, if we need to understand the basic background of this. So in 1937 elections, Congress ministry in Madras was headed by C Rajagopalachari. So Congress was like, had one good number of seats. And in Madras, the C Rajagopalachari government, it was in power from July 1937 to October 1939, after which actually, Congress resigned over issue of India's participation in Second World War. So basically, the Viceroy Lilith Gaur, he announced the participation of India without even consulting Indians, that yes, India is participating in Second World War. So Indians were very angry, and they felt that no, now we need to resign. So the Congress ministry resigned, and after that, Cripps mission, it came. Why? Because uh, see, there was a lot of pressure on Britishers. Okay, they needed India's support for Second World War. Why? Because there was, Japan's threat that it is going to invade India, and it was also, Britain was also pressurized by the allies, USA, USSR, and China, that please seek India's cooperation in this war, we need them. So Cripps mission actually came up, the like a committee which was headed by a person called Sir Stafford Cripps. He came in 1942, and he, gave a proposal that okay, you help us in Second World War, and we will provide you these things. In which they proposed that, in India will be provided Dominion status, a constituent assembly will be provided to, create your own constitution, and if some province is unwilling to join India, then they can separate and they can make their own constitution. And defense will still be controlled by British, and Governor General powers were, kept unaltered. So that is why it was like rejected by Indian National Congress. And the funny thing is that Cripps mission was actually failure from both the sides. It was not only rejected by Indian National Congress, but it was also not liked by the Britishers as well, because Britishers felt it too radical and Indian National Congress felt it, too conservative. So finally, after the failure of Cripps' proposals, Gandhiji launched Quit India movement. And in Tamil Nadu, Buckingham and Carnatic Mills, Port Trust, and tramway workers joined. And it was launched in North Arcot, Madurai, and Coimbatore. So finally, after all of this fight, on 15th of August 1947, Madras government under O.P. Ramaswamy Reddy passed a resolution appreciating the Indian Independence Act, because India got independent on 15th of August 1947. Okay, so beautiful story. And please tell me कि आपको कितना सही लगा पूरा चीज. And now we are going to discuss the MCQs. So who among the following moved the first resolution in the first session of the Indian National Congress? आप please pause कर लीजिए video, because then I'll discuss the question and answer simultaneously. Okay. Okay, so who among the following moved the first resolution in the first session of the Indian National Congress? G. Subramania Iyer, the man behind the Hindu. And he also had written, he was also popular for one more newspaper, that was Swadesh Mitran, which was written in Tamil. Okay, and the Vedaranayam salt satyagraha was led by Rajaji, that is C. Rajgopalachari. Okay, and Madras Native Association, the first association basically of Tamil Nadu, was started in 1852. And Swadeshi Steam Navigation Company was launched by none other than our superhero V.O. Chidambaram Pillai. Okay, so now we'll do match the following. So first, my favorite, G. Subramania Iyer. जो सबसे पहले पता होता है उसको सबसे पहले करो. Okay, I mean anything which you know first, do it, at first. So like we solve MCQs in prelims. First round is all about things you know first. So G Subramania Iyer is Swadesh Mitran, no brainer. Okay, the man behind the Hindu, we just discussed that he was also connected with the newspaper Swadesh Mitran in Tamil. Okay, and Mrs. Annie Besant had like talked about launching home rule first in the newspaper New India. So she was connected with this newspaper. P. Ananda Chalu was one of the founders of Madras Mahajan Sabha, and Subramanya Bharati wrote in, yeah, or edited, I think, Tamil Weekly India. Okay, so this was all about all the match the following. So thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope you like the video, and please give your feedbacks in the comments below. Answer the things I've told you to write in the comments. If you find some other point, if you want to share some information which you have, you all are free and encouraged to do so in the comments below. Make it fruitful and make it, worthy of your time, of our time. Okay, so thank you so much again for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.